All right, folks. Welcome back to Not Funny Guys Present Andor Season 1 Rewatch. And we have come to the end, just in time for Season 2. So let's talk about Episode 12, Rick's Road. Originally aired November 23rd, 2022, written by Tony Gilroy, directed by Benjamin Caron. So, we have Cassian returning to Ferrix for Marva's funeral. Everybody's coming to Ferrix. He learns about Biggs's imprisonment. DiGermiro, like I said, everybody's coming, is also here with the local Imperial garrison, preparing to use the funeral as a means of capturing Andor, so they can question him to find out about access. Using the Imperial ambush as cover, Luthen plans, with Vel and Senta's assistance, to kill Cassian, basically to keep Cassian from divulging any secrets, so he's a loose end. The ISB have successfully, and we see this as part of like aftermath, stopped Krieger's attack on Spellhouse. They've taken no prisoners, which of course Mira is not happy about, but she'll have to eat it. Mon Mothma's 13-year-old daughter, Lita, is introduced to Davos Skulden's 14-year-old son, hinting at basically a betrothal. This is so she can cover her tale. Of course, during the funeral, B2 EMO displays a recording of Marva, who rallies the populace to fight the Empire, creating a riot. And during the confusion, Cassian is able to rescue Bix. Cyril Karn saves DiGermiro when she's caught up in the blowback of everything. Meeting B2, Brasso, and several others at a shipyard, Cassian convinces them to take Bix somewhere safe away from Ferrix. Moved by the rebellion on Ferrix, Luthen returns to his ship where Cassian is waiting for him. Luthen can either kill him or take him in, to which Luthen smiles. Of course, in the post-credits, we get the final dork reveal of what Cassian and everyone back on Narkina 5 was building. And apparently they were building pieces of the firing weapon of the Death Star, which is sort of strangely poetic if you think about where Cassian's story and how it's going to end in Rogue One. If you know ahead, you know. If you don't, Cassian dies on Scarif when the Death Star has its weapon, minor version of it, tested to stop the rebels from getting the Death Star plans. But that's four years down the line, basically, at this point. So let's talk about the insights here. So we have a full intro card with full orchestra now. Very, this thing of everything kind of coming into its fullness is going to take place now. So we're going to start with on Coruscant, just briefly. We're going to cover the things that are going on here before we're going to spend the majority of time in our climax on Ferrix. So on Coruscant, Mon Mothma is in a car with Perrin. They're going back from some sort of party gathering. She has a very purposeful conversation with him because she knows her driver is listening, where she calls him out about his gambling. He's fervently denying it, saying that he's doing it here on Coruscant. She's basically setting up information so that they will, if they do look for her money and things fall through, it looks like Perrin was gambling, and that's where the hole in the finances come. I don't think she's just setting up Perrin because she doesn't like him. He's very fervent in his denial, by the way. And for her, it's a performance she puts on because she knows the driver is not giving them privacy. Does reference Canto Bight, interestingly enough, which is Last Jedi shout out there, I guess you could say. We do see ISB HQ, where we find the driver. Now, officially, we've always kind of known he's an ISB agent, and when we see him listening, but now we actually see that he reports to Blevin, Inspector Blevin. And they seem to sort of be buying her story. Blevin gets called in when they basically are getting the aftermath of Anton Krieger's failed raid. No prisoner. Partagast is kind of talking DiGermiro down because she's really pissed about the whole thing that they didn't take prisoners because she's not dumb like the rest of them. The ISB is very cocky now. They're exactly how Luthen told Saw Gerrera this would happen. But she's been told, find access. And then, of course, we do see Leto and Davis's son. It looks like they say it's a meeting. It looks like basically a betrothal. And she's, of course, going through with this. It's a very short scene. Now let's go to Ferrex, where everybody else in our story is culminating. So just to recap, Luthen's arriving. Cinta is there. Vel shows up. Cassian's back in town. Everybody's here now. So we do open up on a scene initially where we see Pax's son. Can't remember his name, but he is building something, and we have a hollow of his dad. And we come to realize he's basically making an improvised explosive device, an IED. And he's obviously out for revenge for the fact that they hung his father. Deidre Miro arrives by shuttle at basically an Imperial landing facility they have now set up. It has Death Troopers, 2 of them. There's kind of like this storm going on before the day before the funeral. Kind of like things are unsettled, you know. We come upon Bix in her cell. She's still quite broken. Deidre then dresses down the next day and walks around with the ISB spy. Cinta's following them, and she knows this, and she'll report this back. We see Zan, who did get the call from Cassian. He tells Brasso about Cassian calling. They know they're watched. A fellow man from Ferrex, Nurchi, who had been mad at Cassian way back for like owing him money. They've got beef, is basically sniffing around, hoping to turn Cassian in. He then later plies Zan with drink and finds out about Cassian coming back. Of course, Vel and Cinta meet up. Of course, they're on the tail. She tells her all about the fact that she followed the ISB spy guy and the Deidre, his boss. Something's happening big. Vel is still conflicted about her relationship with Cinta. Cinta is very committed to the cause. Vel is very committed to Cinta and the cause. And there's a kind of a conflicting element, especially seen on her face, about the sacrifice. This is in between them. It's, like I said, written all over her face. Cassian is definitely on planet now by the night before the funeral, dead of night. He finds the father's brick, the brick that was given to his father, puts his hand on it. He has this memory of them when they were, when he was younger, his father showing him how to clean these parts that people just threw away and they can resell them and make money. And he remembers his father saying to him, keep your eyes open, possibilities everywhere. And this memory makes Cassian smile. He climbs into Bix's salvage yard, where he runs into Pegla, who is running it now, holding it together. He's in charge of security over at the shipyard. But apparently he's holding it down while they try to sell it. And this is where he learns about Bix's arrest. We get a voiceover of Nimic speaking from his manifesto, talking about freedom as the Cassian holds down the old ship. Listening to it, there's a line about tyranny requires constant effort. It seems like he's listening to Nimic's voice from the dead. It kind of is another way to inspire him. And there's a lot of things like this is the same thing with Mara, these voices of the dead lifting up the living. Luthen has now arrived, the day of the funeral, has a speeder he takes into town. Everyone now is kind of on the scene. Deidre Miro and her men are planning how to trap the funeral. They've set a time, trying to control the situation, analyze the scene. Deidre requests that they don't have snipers. She wants Cassian alive. Cassian is in the underground tunnels with Pegla's help. He meets up with Brasso. The ISB lost track of him. Warns him. Cassian has this guilt, but Brasso tells him, don't feel this guilt. Marva's left words for him saying he has all he needs. His spark is lit. Brasso does tell him about Bix being locked in a hotel. He plans on using the tunnels to get her out. Now, finally, I'm sorry, not everybody was on the scene, because now Cyril and Linus Mosk finally show up, riding a transport in, some weird exchange where they give each other's hats to each other. Cassian takes up a watching position in a tower. Nurchi knows where he is, and he goes to the Imperials. Vel and Luthen chat about Deidre Miro being on there hunting for Cassian. They're setting up how they're going to kill him, when all of a sudden the anvil strikes, calling people. They're starting the funeral early. Ferrex people are disobeying. Good for them. Now, I absolutely am in love with the track of the band starting up And by the way, thanks to my wife, who has a degree in music and is a teacher of music, the whole tuning up and then the song they actually play, even though to the naked ear, they don't necessarily sound exactly the same. It is the same. They just changed the beat. So I want to thank my wife for that one. Everyone is basically now caught flat-footed, except the people of Ferrex. They are lining up for the funeral march. Everyone else is kind of scrambling. Everybody who plans to use this event for their own purposes. Things begin to move. Most of the players are now, like I said, stuck observing from different points as the daughters of Ferrex lead this march. Pax's son falls in with them. The ISB spy and sent to fall in with the crowds. Nurchi meets up with the ISB spy and tells him to arrest him, take him to the thing. He knows where Cassian is. He plans on giving him up. Takes him to the hotel. Eventually, Cinta will, in the confusion later, take the ISB agent aside and kill him. I was like, good. The Imperials now deploy their men onto the streets in formation basically as a show of force. And I absolutely love the people of Ferrex and their defiance. It's very inspirational. Cassian, of course, spots Luthen from his perch. Cyril and Mosk are also watching. Of course, Cyril's eyes are only for Deidre. And of course, she goes, and he sees her when she's going out with the information about where Cassian is hiding with her death troopers. Deidre finds the spot with the spy's help before he gets killed, but he's not there. He's actually now in the hotel, so he's flipped places with them. He's going to rescue Bix. Brasso is carrying Marva Stone in the parade. We can see Bix in her cell as the parade picks up pace. She's listening and people chanting Sky and Stone, Sky and Scone. And then B2 projects a hologram, sort of a last will and testament, or last obituary of Marva, given by herself. And the speech is a banger. It's just, oh, so good. She talks about things like when she remembers her first funeral, about how the dead lifted her with their truth. But now that I'm dead and I'm here to lift you. And this kind of goes back to like Nemec's diary and this idea that the dead lift people. And she calls on the people to wake up, to fight back. Can't ignore what's going on anymore. Calls evil to be like a rust, and it's infecting things and it won't go away. And the Empire is that rust. It's a disease that thrives in the darkness while they sleep. And the Commandant finally loses cool at this point, throws his cloak over the projector that is B2. And this sets off a real this is where the shitstorm happens. He tips over B2. Brasso whacks him with the brick. He has to kind of desperately crawl back to the riot line. Cassian finds Bix and escapes. She is very broken. They're fighting their way out. The fight is everywhere now. Nurchi, when they actually escape the hotel after a blast goes off from the IED that Pax's son throws, they'll see Nurchi is dead because he gets killed in the concussive blast. The Imperial in the riot gear holding the people back. Anvil strikers egging things on, basically chanting the people forward. When they send stormtroopers to get him, he kicks them off the tower. Pax's son, like I said, throws the IED bomb and really sets things off. And the concussion, I think, is what kills Nurchi in the hotel, takes out a couple guards. Sets off some Imperial munitions as well and really creates the chaos. Deidre is outside their lines when things are happening, and she gets caught up in the riot, and they're going to take her out when Cyril grabs her, pulls her aside, and she finds out it's him, and it's so painfully awkward, their relationship. She's not a well-adjusted person, and nor is he, and maybe they're meant for each other. Who knows? But it's weird. Brasso and his men save Pax's son from the Imperials. They start opening, the stormtroopers are starting to open fire now. Zan is actually killed by a stormtrooper. Brasso gets Pax's son out of there. Pegla drags B2 out of the chaos. Vel and Cinta pack up the stuff to get out of town now. Cassian gets Brasso, president of the Daughter of Ferrex, I believe, Pax's son, Bix, and B2 on a ship in Pegla's help, and tells them to escape. Bix believes that he'll come find them. He needs to get her to safety. Pretty sure Brasso has never flown before by the look on his face. But there's something, so they escape, but there's something really funny about the aftermath of this riot where you see Linus Moss, Sergeant Blueberry, just sitting there drinking steps. It's amusing. And of course, Cassian beats Luthen back to his own ship. He surprises him, but he's left him the pistol in his reach and tells him either take me in or kill me. And so from the smirk on his face and basically the choice, it's obvious he's going to take him in. And of course, this, if you continue watching, remember to the end of the post-credits, this is where you get to see this wonderful image of the things that he had been building on Narkina 5 as connected to the Death Star. So now, in a lot of ways, going back to our discussion about the hero's journey, I think it's worth noting here that if we treat season 1 as its own hero's journey, we don't necessarily have a death of a mentor, but we do have a battle with a brother that kind of sort of nurturing. But we have this road back here. This is the road back. We have him returning the master of two worlds. He's now going to go out into the larger world. His reward is sort of like becoming part of the rebellion. I mean, it's even hinted at what Marva says about him, that she always knew there was something inside of him that needed to be released. There was some potential, and now he's entering that world. So I just think it's fascinating to watch how this is going to, in many ways, expand for him. He's kind of come full circle from being this scruffy scoundrel, petty thief, making little ends meet. And now he's kind of gone on this journey. We followed him on this journey out into the bigger world, becoming a mercenary, to ending up in prison when he tried to sort of quote unquote walk away and think that none of this is affecting me. He gets caught up in it. He finds out, has a growing up moment, that ordeal in the prison on Narkina 5. And then, of course, you know, death of a mentor in many ways is the death of Marva for this character. And this is what brings him back home to this culminating event where we have all these characters brought together on Ferrix, and he gets to have this re-confrontation with Luthen where they've kind of reversed roles. When Luthen took him in the first time, Luthen was more interested in him. Now he's interested in Luthen. He is wanting to become one of these people. He's not just some character anymore. He's ready to become something bigger. And that's where we're going to leave it. Tuesday, folks, we're going to get season 2. And you can keep an eye out. We will be having some, like I said, Eric and I, my fellow Not Funny guy, we're going to start doing a kind of a rewatch recap thing as we go along. Now, I know they're releasing the first 3 episodes first, so the first recap may be not the day after, but our plan going forward generally is to release the day after the episode airs, so that we can try and stay on top of things, talk about what we see, interesting developments. So keep an eye out for that. If you're not following us over on the podcast end of things, we do have the Not Funny Guys Present Off the Reels podcast, where we talk about movies. We're currently doing Newsies as we do a little 1982 palate cleanser before we move on to who knows what. Casey hasn't told us yet. And then they also have Casey and Eric do their own little podcast of Wrestling with the Horror Doll, talking about wrestling, pro wrestling, and horror movies. So check those out as well. In the meantime, like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. And I will be seeing you guys soon, joined by my co-host and Eric. So this has been fun. But once we get done with the season 2 rewatch or commentary, we will be moving on to a new rewatch series. And I'm right now probably going to be Red Dwarf. And if you don't know what Red Dwarf is, you'll find out soon enough. So keep it not funny, everybody. And long live the rebellion. Say not funny guys again.
Not funny guys again.
No, can you say not funny guys?